So I'm here with Tim Lucas. Tim, if you would like just to introduce yourself and tell us a bit why you're with us today at the Schools Out conference.
Okay, well, about me, I was, as I said earlier, I was a student for 9 years and came back from the States to do a teaching certificate as an alternative to going on the dole, and discovered that I quite enjoyed teaching. It was a really nice year, and was lucky enough to get a job in Lewes, which took me back to the area in which I'd done my degrees. Well, I'm a Londoner by birth, although not somewhere I've lived since I left home. Well, while I was doing my teaching certificate, there was a little snippet in the Times Educational Supplement about, I think this is the right way around, about a gay teachers group setting up in Bristol. So I phoned them up and went along to a meeting. And I should think it was called the Bristol Gay Teachers Group, but I can't be sure now. Anyway, the guy who had set that up was a primary school teacher. I guess for the purposes of this I'd better not name him. And he knew about the London Gay Teachers Group. So I don't know how many times in the course of that year, but we drove up to London and went to their meetings. So that's how I came across the London Gay Teachers Group, which went through a number of transformations and has become Schools Out. So when I got my first job in Lewes, I carried on going up to their meetings on and off. I can't say I went to even as many as half of them, because, you know, it was a fair chunk of time, and getting back late and then having to go to work in the next morning was not something you did too often. And the London Gay Teachers Group, I think, this is right, you'll probably get different stories from everyone, became, I think, the Gay Teachers Group, and possibly the Lesbian and Gay Teachers Group, and then the Lesbian and Gay Workers in Education, because there were people who were not teachers. There was somebody who was a librarian, for example, and there were people who were support staff in other roles. And then I don't know whether there was any other transformation before it became Schools Out, which was a kind of a catchier name. I remember we had internal debates about whether there should be an apostrophe and where it should go. But there we are.
And what was your most memorable moment of Schools Out during its 40-year history for you?
Well, if by Schools Out we can include its predecessors in different names, although it's essentially the same organisation. I think Peter Bradley's speech or non-speech, because he wasn't allowed to give it at Jersey Conference, was crucial in transforming the NUT. Unfortunately, I missed it because there had been a mix-up, which, if you believe in conspiracy theories, was deliberate, and my delegation and some other people we met were given tickets for one flight and reservations for another. So I didn't arrive until the morning after he'd given, later in the morning when he'd given his speech. But as soon as we went into the building, you could feel the electric atmosphere. You knew something had happened, you didn't quite know what. And I only found out afterwards from people how it had actually gone. And it was, as I said this morning, it was just creative use of the rules of conference. You know, the mayor, if it's one of the UK's seaside towns, or I can't remember what the head ceremonial person of Jersey is called, probably a Lord Lieutenant or something like that. Anyway, he gives the welcome and says things like, I hope you have a good time and spend loads of money in Jersey. And the President says, thank you for your welcome. And Peter's role was to argue that we shouldn't be saying thank you for having us because we don't want to be here. Some of us at least. And he was ruled out of order, and in such a way that most conference delegates thought that was just, you know, unnecessary, and it shouldn't have been done that way. But you know, we used the rules. We were absolutely within our rights, and it was, you know, a creative way of going about things. So.
Tim Lucas, thank you very much for your time.